welcome to the show. So I'm here to speak to Mr. Prasad Koparkar, Senior Director, CRISIL Research, and ask him some questions regarding the latest report on capital investments in India. So Prasad, your team has recently come out with this report on capital investments. How do you see capital investments panning out in India over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting report that we have put out. The general perception over the last few months has been that there are some green shoots of recovery, and we are going to see a revival of the Capex cycle. But our assessment is actually to the contrary. What we believe is that the recovery is unlikely in this year. In fact, this year we are projecting a negative growth, on the back of, again, last couple of years which were not good. We believe that the real revival in Capex will only happen in FY17.
So, can you throw some light on this? What is causing this decline in capital investments? I mean, we are seeing some sort of a recovery in the overall macroeconomic scenario. GDP growth is bouncing back. Why is capital investments still not picking up?
See, I think if you look at the breakup of the Capex, what you really see is that the industrial sector, there is a clear decline that we are expecting. On the other hand, infra investment actually will continue to go up, though not in a big way, but at least there will be some improvement. Industrial investment, for example, in the current year, we expect almost a 16% decline over the last year. And I think the point to note is that if you look at even last couple of years, the industrial investment actually has been declining. So it's probably a third year in a series that we are seeing the decline continue.
You said industrial sectors are expected to witness a sharper decline this year, and it's a pretty sharp decline. Any specific reasons there? Is funding a big problem for the industrial sectors, or what are the other factors which are causing this decline?
No, I don't think funding is really the crux of the problem. If you really look at what is happening, I think the major issue is the demand, and therefore what is happening to capacity utilization. So if you look at the sectors across, whether it is metals, commodities, auto, across sectors, the capacity utilization rates have not reached the level where probably new investment is required in a big way. In fact, our analysis shows that 10 out of 12 sectors, the bigger sectors, the utilization rates are well below 5-year averages. In fact, in many sectors, they are close to 5-year bottom. So unless you see a meaningful improvement in demand, unless their sentiment improves, I don't think private sector is ready to open the purse strings for new Capex.
Can you also shed some more light on the infrastructure space? I mean, what is driving investments in the infra space? Is it public investments? Is it the government push, or are private developers more keen on bagging some of these projects?
Sure. I think in infra, while for the private sector, there are certain pockets, where gearing levels have gone up, balance sheets are a little stretched, interest coverage ratios are a little, lower than what lender would want. Why we are still positive on the infra space, even in the current year, is I think largely because of what we believe will happen in the public space. So government Capex is going to go up. If you look at, for example, the union budget, there was almost a 50% increase on the investment side. There are a couple of sectors where we are particularly positive. For example, if you take the national highways, we believe the execution there will almost go up by 50%, from about 1700 kilometers last year to close to about 2400. Similarly, space like renewable energy, we are seeing a lot of action. You look at last 2 years, the total capacity addition, both wind and solar put together, was about 6,000 megawatt. We expect it to almost double, to 11 to 12,000 over the next 2 years. Similarly, in urban infra, we believe there will be a lot of action, a lot of metro projects are coming up. So these are the pockets which will drive, and clearly these are more in public space than private space. So that is where we expect, the infra will still drive. The private sector probably will not be picking up in this year.
So Prasad, thanks for joining us and sharing those wonderful insights. I hope it's been, enriching to us all, and let's keep our fingers crossed and hope we see a decent pickup in capital investments, at least in FY17.